Welcome to our Findhorn Barrel, an independent podcast exploring the people and projects of the Park Ecovillage Findhorn. In each episode, we meet individuals, groups, and organisations shaping life in this unique corner of Scotland, from eco-builders and gardeners to artists, teachers, healers, and social entrepreneurs. We'll hear their stories, what inspires them, and how they're navigating both the beauty and the challenges of living and working here. I'm your host, Alex Wright, and today I'm joined by Prriyanka, all the way from Auroville.
Hi, Alex.
So you just left Scotland recently to move to Auroville. How long were you living in the park before that?
I moved in the park in 2020 July, and before I had an opportunity to live in the park for a couple of months a year before in autumn 2019.
So you came just as COVID was kind of coming. So you never experienced that kind of foundation community. It was
Not really.
It was all in this change process when you came.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, as we know, was going through a lot.
What drew you to the community? Did you come here by accident or?
I came to know about Findhorn in 2016 through a friend named Hemant Chabra. He did his experience week in that year, and he highly recommended us to visit Scotland because Amaya used to come every year to UK. And he said, next time, whenever you're going to UK, make sure you are going with Chavi and Prriyanka, and make sure you all are going to Findhorn. And we made it. It so happened that he got a stint in Scotland the same year. And that was our first visit to Scotland for 15 days. And in that, we were in Findhorn for 3 days. So that's how I got to know about the Findhorn, and I could visit the same year. And the most inspiring thing was the community living. And I saw the documentary named The New Story Summit happened like on the New Story Summit. And I felt I want to be here.
And so then you decided quite soon after that to move to live in the park?
So at that time, I was still living in India, actually. And then it so happened within a year, I was visiting Scotland 2 times. And there was some magical experiences happened in Scotland during those 2 visits. And then I'm praying to the land, call us here. I want to experience you. And it was also getting clear for me that definitely there is some connection here. And it so happened that in 2018, Amaya got work. Sorry for this, I will just switch it off. And within a year and a half, we moved to Findhorn. We were in Aberdeen initially. It took almost maybe 2.5 years to manifest this need and dream to be in Findhorn and to live in Findhorn. That was quite a miracle for me.
Can you tell me a bit about your life before coming to Findhorn, and had you been involved in intentional communities before that, or is this like the first intentional community?
Auroville was the only community I knew which was intentional community. And briefly about my life before is that I would say I was practicing as a conservation architect in Mumbai. I was living in Mumbai for 9 years before that, for a few years. And then I did a couple of interiors, and then I became mom, and that has changed a lot. And why I'm bringing that, because having Chavi and the need to move to intentional community was very strong for me. And with her, maybe before that, because of conservation architect, I had this understanding of sustainable living, because that was one of the subject. And ever since then, my pull towards nature and conscious community living was more. And slowly, I choose to stay home mother, and her unschooling journey or home learning journey. And we started traveling, seeking similar resonance with different parent or people who are on similar path of alternative way of living. So that's what we did until Chavi was 6 and before we moved to Scotland. And I also did a couple of permaculture experiences, weeks. We lived almost for 4 years zero waste lifestyle. I used to compost in Mumbai in indoors. Yeah.
Indoors.
Yeah. I used to compost. Yeah, because in India, Bangalore city makes this beautiful 3 tiers mud pots. And there is way they are encouraging doing composting indoors. So, and I did that. It did smell. So what system I created was that we had this big pantry space which was well ventilated. And so my first like layers of brown and the wet waste would go in those pots of 3 layers. And then once they have processed their process for a few weeks, then I would move to the bigger pot, which was almost like a big pot basically. And they were actually a corner piece, a decorative piece in my living space. And my compost would stay, compost would more mature there. And after a few weeks, it will be smelling like forest smell. And then I will reuse the same compost, the brown bits of the compost, and I would remix it. So that's how we would create a cycle. So it was very fulfilling experience. Yeah.
And then you use that for the plants or in the house, or what do you use as soil for?
So interestingly, I never developed my green thumb, as we say. I couldn't grow plants, but I would give it away to the gardener who were doing gardening for the housing complex we were living.
I was just so fascinated by the idea of you composting stuff in your living room.
Oh yeah, it was very fascinating for me, honestly, because some guest came in my house who were actually working as a permaculturist in Australia for some years. And this woman, she was a young girl actually, in her 20s. She actually smelled the compost and she screamed that this is like a forest smell. And she took that in a small bag, plastic bag. So it was like for me also, I was just doing as something I was feeling responsible for, and just the sheer of selfless action. Even Ameya was doing with me. So, but yeah, it was really fascinating. And then we ultimately gave the whole compost when we left, which was almost 25 kg or more, maybe more than that, to one local permaculturist who was growing food for specially able people. So before coming to UK, what I started trying to figure out people who are working either with the permaculture or homeschooling or unlearning within Mumbai. And I was traveling with Chavi a lot in rural parts of the country for the same reason. And I was also, actually, I almost moved to Auroville in 2018, but life brought us here in Scotland.
What were your first impressions of the Ecovillage when you first arrived?
It was like a sense of wonder for me. Every day was unique, special, heart opening. I felt very safe, not just in the community. I felt very safe with the Scotland as a spirit of the land itself. I felt very connected actually, and to many in many events, I also felt very welcomed.
And also, you didn't do Experience Week, which is how many people first encounter the community. What was your kind of path into feeling part of the community, and how did that, having not done Experience Week, how did that impact your relationship with people who had done it?
I would start with something I recently talked with one of the community elder who has worked with the foundation. And I shared the same, saying that, oh, I never did the foundation week. I think so. I've missed something. And she said, no, you have lived in the community, and that's what we share in the foundation week. Experience week. So you have lived the experience week, not just for a week, but you have lived for the whole span you were here. So she made me feel like, okay. So when you ask about what was my path into the community, I would say the act of sharing and sometimes just being me. I was still adapting to the new place. So I was still in my sense of self, which was recently have moved from my country. So that have had a lot of, I would say, many people have found it very welcoming. I used to invite people I know. I would just ask them, would you like to come for chai tea? I had moved to Bagan from East Winds. My first 3 months were in East Winds, and then I moved to Bagan, and then I made this jalebis, which is a dessert, and I offered to one of my neighbor, and that was my path into the community. Sometimes I was also volunteering. Jonathan Caddy used to, process the wooden logs, so I would go and talk with people. I think so. That was my path into the community, and I got this intuition that I have to offer this sacred circle dance to the land I'm gonna live in. So I did 3 days celebration ritualistic dance. It's a community dance called Garba from my region. It's a sacred circle dance. For 3 nights, we did in 2 nights was in Sunshine Room, and one night was in Dancing Green, where people came and danced along with me on the beats of Garba. Yeah, I felt that was one of my path and kind of offering to the community. And it led me to many things. Yeah.
How did your Indian cultural background blend or clash with the spiritual culture that you found within the park?
So there are two different aspects. One is the cultural aspect of any place, and another is the spiritual aspect. They can be connected and they might not be connected. I would say I already had a spiritual background, which I had received as my upbringing without even knowing that this is called spirituality. Because now I know and I have lived that in India, we live spirituality rather than talking about it, or it's given in a very subtle way. Uh, the traditional Indian way of spiritual is also mostly reciting, not writing. So when it comes to spiritual aspect of Findhorn, I would say because my spiritual quest was already, I was on that path. What really resonated with what I have already lived or known and aspire to live, because it's a practice. It's a practice. You practice it every day. In India, yoga, you practice your yoga. Spirituality is being practiced. So we have these three main principles about love in action, which is in Indian spirituality is karma yoga. You do give yourself less whatever you do. Path of spiritual practice focused on selfless action and dedication to duty. So, in many aspects, the karma yoga of Indian spirituality is very much appreciated. And so, as a child, my father or my mother would say that focus what you are doing. That means actually be with what you are doing right now. Be completely present what you are doing. Um, um, then also when we talked about inner attunement, which is about going within. If I'm comparing with this Indian spirituality, like the meditation or the yoga itself is the union. Yoga means union, right? So it's about with whom you're getting united with and what is detached. So, or disconnected. And that's why you need to reunited, to get connected with or union with. So it's also about constant inquiring into the self. So I would say I was very inspired and fascinated and found a lot of resonance with what I had already been practicing. However, in a very different environment, climate, people, approach. And definitely co-creation is with nature is so much is imbibed in roots of Indian spirituality, where Prakriti, she is everything. She is actually the power, the Shakti, and without whom you can't do anything. And like we have animal gods, uh, and there's like sacred trees. We worship sacred groves, and there are so many mythologies we have been listening in from our childhood, where animals and plants are being respected. Even water is sacred for us. Like we say, do not waste water. Why you have thrown this half glass of water? So actually valuing everything, because everything is sacred, and that's how we were taught to live with less. And so all these things, I was like, I was not constantly comparing in terms of uh, whether the spiritual principle in Findhorn is different than Indian spirit are different. I felt, in fact, they resonated a lot with what I somewhere had practiced, and I was still inquiring into. So that's my answer when it comes to the spiritual practicing and all. And and then there was another layer of culture, because the land also has an influence on people, and the current socio-political and the historicity of the city or a place also molds the people. So that was very evident in some cases, that I was coming from a very, like I was from India, from a very brown background, and this was actually, it's quite a white community, as I say. Don't take it badly, but that's truth actually. I've not seen. I have heard that it was more diverse before, but sadly, I landed in a time where things were really not that diverse. So, and it's natural to compare, because I was also in Auroville. I was in Auroville, so Auroville is much more diverse community. However, I don't blame anyone, because I know India and UK both are so different, socio-political place, and even the economy is so different. The climate is so different. Who would want to come in the cold climate, when somebody has a tropical goodies and things like that? So I also want to say that I really understood the whole thing holistically rather than comparing just one aspect of the community. So I would say that every individual is conditioned where they were born. So that is always going to have some sort of clash, or, you know, not resonance, because we all are different. So I think so that was quite natural and normal. However, I would say the people who had visited India or had some experience of being with Indian would definitely came as a very different, would approach me very differently than somebody who hasn't, or have some imagination of India, which I could sense it. And but then I can't do anything, because I'm not here to judge people on that. So yeah, there were a few clashes of things, which I would say in any new place you face it. So no big complaints about that. A lot of adapt. We had to adapt a lot, climate wise, culture wise. And there was a time when we also had to speak, or I had to speak about that. Look, you know what? I understand, but I'm coming really from a very different cultural background. So if you're expecting from me that you need to fit in, I'm sorry, I'm 35-year-old. A child can be fitted easily, but an adult can't be fitted. And when there is nothing wrong with this, it's just a matter of different way of looking at life, then why one needs to be challenged? So if I'm challenged because of somebody else, then I rather look into myself why I'm challenged, rather than asking the person that, look, everybody is like this, so you better be. I mean, that kind of experience I had faced briefly. But there was a time when I was being made aware that I am brown and I'm Indian. Subtly, they were not even aware about this, that they are making this comment, and it's actually very subtle racism throwing. And I was also shocked when, sadly, there was a talk on racism and there were no black person or a brown person was in that meeting. It was the facilitator herself was white person. So I'm learning through my way, because in India also there is a different kind of racism is there. So there's nobody to blame here. I say it's everywhere, sadly. And we all are working and learning. Nobody's perfect.
So you're now in Auroville, right, at the moment?
Yeah, I'm in Auroville.
And that's an intentional community, but from my understanding, it's like several communities, like in one big community. Is that right? It's much bigger.
It's much bigger. Even I'm also learning about Auroville, being in the Auroville. So far, whatever I know is that to become a part of the community living and to get the benefits, you have to become an Aurovillian. And it has a process. You have 3 months of volunteering, and it has just recently changed. Before it was different. And then 1.5 year or 1 year of newcomer process. And you have a mentor. And then if mentor is like okay with you, that he has seen you, observed you, and if you also feel that you have felt belong and you have made your way through the community, and then there's a process, and then you can become an Aurovillian. And then the Auroville will give you maintenance, that's what they call. And then they also provide you housing, the way usually similar to what we used to do with the foundation members. It's around 3,000, 4,000 Aurovillians. I am not yet Aurovillian. I am guest here. So things are very different for me. And here, what is it like? They call it Auroville bioregion is also there. There are different region here. There is a Matri Mandir is in the middle. Then they have started, the Auroville Foundation have started buying lands in chunks in that whole proposed future Auroville city. And they have started building different buildings depending on their use. Some are schools, some are residential buildings, some are libraries, right? And then whatever the lands are not being bought, like local people still live there. Their neighborhoods are there, their communities are there. And because Auroville has also become a tourist place, so they are also getting benefit of this. The locals also get benefits of this. And plus, Auroville has lots of units where they employ local people. They call it outreach programs. So they also work for the better lifestyle and economic condition for people living around.
When you say local, do you mean people who were there before Auroville started? Or
Yeah.
They're not
Locals.
Aurovillians?
No. Just like we have Findhorn village. Like the park is very distinct. It's still one, but Auroville is quite scattered. So to reach, there are different names of the community. The way we have neighborhoods here, like Beg End, East Winds. Auroville have different communities, and mostly they're housing communities. And these housing communities can have several different kind of housing arrangements. Like they can be bungalows, detached houses, they can be apartments, depending on the stages of development and finances they were having. And some places can have schools, libraries. They have really beautiful like places like town hall, theater. So infrastructure-wise, Auroville is very different and more functional and I would say rich and diverse and different. Auroville started later than our community, Findhorn. Sri Aurobindo and Mother, these are the two main, and it was Mother's vision to build Auroville. So Auroville is named after Sri Aurobindo. Aurovillians have created lots of uh, opportunities for business and uh, entrepreneurship and employment for the people around, for themselves as well as. And then there's another big thing about Auroville is they have experimented a lot with architecture. I came because I'm an architect and I knew about Auroville because of my architecture. In true sense, it's a place for experiment. So if you have a dream, just like actually Findhorn's creative energy, this energy will also work with you and will make you work towards your dream. Auroville has always fascinated me. Like there are therapists here, there are masseurs here, there are at least 10 different yoga classes are happening every day. So it has a lot to offer in one small place, a lot. There is tango happening, there is a 2000-year-old Kalari Paitu is happening. And most of the time, especially the practices which are rooted in India, you will get a very honest experience. So yeah, that's my experience so far.
Do you feel like it sounds like you're very happy now in Auroville? You're saying you're missing being back in Findhorn, but it sounds like kind of paradise being in Auroville.
I adapt fast. It's my coping mechanism, but I'm also learning to grieve. I cried in the afternoon, missing house.
Were there particular people groups or moments that helped you feel connected with the community more deeply?
Definitely, I would say some of my experiences in living in Bagan, especially during the lockdown with my neighbors, I started exchanging meals. So I would prepare for a couple of my neighbors some Indian dal, basic staple food for them. And in other days of the week, they would cook for me. It was such an amazing gesture. I was in awe with, and we did it for quite a few months actually. And they were all, community people the elders of the community, I would rather say, and who has lived in the community for more than few decades now. And some of them were like, one of them is Jonathan Caddy and Randy, and this touched me when we were moving our boxes actually in Megan, in our house, Rosa the Heart, and Randy looked at me and said, "Welcome, welcome to the neighborhood." And I was like, "Wow!" And Jonathan Caddy actually made two swings for Chavi and Olivia because in lockdown, children are not meeting in the park and things like that, which touched my heart. And as we know, Jonathan as elder, of a community. So, and yeah, and even like Arun and Indira was somebody whom I can connect a lot with because of my ethnicity. And later, mostly in my time, I really felt connected with them through various events. And I'm really grateful for these events and people in my life because I would definitely say that that helped me to feel more safe when you are accepted and seen as you are and supported and loved. And another moment was, especially this is with the foundation, the Clooney Kitchen, working in Clooney Kitchen was the only moment or opportunity for me to literally know or understand a little bit about how foundation work, So it was such a pleasure, to feed this, the Clooney feed international, community through Clooney Kitchen. I've learned a lot and I've received lots of love there, which has really inspired me to do more, And of course, I would like to mention Blessed Dance. As I say, it's a part of wider community now. It's really getting known, and so even Blessed Dance was something I really felt connected, held well in difficult moment of time, or when I'm emotional, they would hold space for me as well. So there are these different, events and people in my life who are really supporting not just me, my family. So I'm really grateful to them. Yeah.
Before we started this talk, before I hit record, you were talking about how you didn't really understand the idea of the word wider community. I mean, it was a word that was used a lot. I don't hear it so much used these days, but when the foundation was really going, like maybe 10 years ago, the wider community, and then there was the foundation and all these kind of definitions. How, yeah, maybe talk to that from your experience of these words.
That's. I'm also speaking from the great sense of vulnerability here. So when uh, my belonging or sense of uh, being alive comes from what I'm doing, I love to cook for myself, and I love to cook for my whomsoever is willing to have that meal. Now, if I have this itchiness to cook for people, will I really look whether I'm feeding a wider community or a foundation? Will it make sense? Any difference to me? What? Because the joy comes, people are eating food and they're happy. I don't know how to make the difference. I have not lived that life. I have never been a foundation member. So I don't have that experience. So even if I want, I can't be in their shoes. And I may not be able to understand someone else's lived experience. And am I in any space of making any opinion if that has been seen separately? When I entered into the community, I started learning about, oh, there's something called Findhorn Foundation. I was just so much, I would say, naive. I just imagined or thought that, oh, this is Findhorn community, and I want to live in the place like this. And another thing, what brought me here was Eileen's opening of the door within, which I found in 2017, which was another clue for me that, oh, this place is definitely calling me, So, and I found this book in India, not here. So, and she was helping me in India for 1 year. My path was not to come through foundation, perhaps, but to just be part of the wider community and find my place there and what I can come to contribute.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen with the foundation in the future, but we know that it's that whole foundation body of like 100 people, and then the inside and the outside is kind of just broken. So it's all just one community now.
Yeah. For me also, I for that matter, I would say I'm still an outsider because I've never was part of foundation. So I don't know what is to be being a foundation member. What kind of a spirit one is living there. And my question is it different than the one who is being touched by or colored by the foundation? It's going to be there in that person. The practice, it's all about practice. What we are practicing. The foundation is going to go one day. Everybody comes and goes. But what we as a species needs to be doing our practice, being a human being, what we are asked to do as per our biological blueprint, isn't it? That what matters rather than that's what I sometimes question to myself because sometimes I'm just so much caught up in my story and the hats I'm wearing that I'm overwhelmed and I want to come down to the core which I can't deny, which is in this body who I am. I want to mention what Randy said to me when I came to the community. It really touched me and that also helped me to connect the community very differently, you know. So Findhorn is a place to grow your desire and vision. Don't let anyone give you limitations about what Findhorn is. It is the place that you want it to be. I'm repeating, it is the place that you want it to be. A place to grow your highest dreams, where love can be manifested in form. Heaven on earth, best. And I would say he's right because before coming here, I used to write in diaries some of my dreams. I used to do journaling a lot, bullet journaling. I was also going through postpartum depression. And when I went back to my diary, Findhorn gave me opportunity to fulfill that dream one after another in so many different ways. So when I am feeding people, it's one of my dreams. I've already put in a seed form in my diary. When I'm dancing for people, it's in my diary. I'm singing for people in my diary. I really I resonate with what Randy said that yes, this is a place where your dream come true and the energy works with you. It's one of the most beautiful and unique, magical place. Yeah. I am not sure whether I have still left the Findhorn or Findhorn has still left me. I really don't know yet. My house is there. You are calling me. People are still connected with me. So right now, the full stop is not yet there. I'm still feeling very connected with the community. So that's what it is right now. And I'm accepting what's going to be, even if it is going to be full stop soon. It's okay, but I don't see that way yet. Yeah, I would like to share. I'm deeply grateful, actually, very grateful um, of being able to live. It was such an honor to be there, given this opportunity for living almost 4.5 years in the community where I learned a lot about myself. I would say the light has helped me to see myself better. There's tremendous light there. I see that. And I could also see my shadows better because the more light is brighter, the shadows are more crispier. Clear, right? When the sun is shining, the shadow is just dark. And that was very fascinating that I couldn't run from both, neither my light nor my shadows. And the living in Findhorn has helped me to hold both of them and love them both and learn how to navigate through both because I can be running from my light as well. So scary. So yeah, I wrote this beautiful thing which just came. You can, if you like it, keep it. I would say that I recently had an amazing transformation game for myself with marrying girls. And one of the angel card was to be yourself. You need to be one of what do you call it? It's like some this suggestion
Not the
or
angel
something.
cards, the
No.
insight cards.
Inside cards. Yes, it was inside card to be yourself. And the whole process was more like a reminding. Chavi, I need charger, please. Of my journey. Uh, why I was called to Findhorn. Uh, and what I'm taking or learn is that my self acceptance, to be myself, discovery of the blueprint I'm carrying, which we all have our own blueprint and individual thumbprint. The seed, I'm carrying, I'm within, and with this, deep trust that once the environment is right, I, I will be able to grow safely, you know, and nourish myself there so that my fruits can nourish the place back. And if needed, then the seeds can remain if it is being promised to be nourished and nurtured. And so I leave the saplings. um, and with me, I carry that land's soil with me, in my heart, in my seeds. I'm never going to leave it or leave me. So, and I don't think I can ever feel disconnected with Findhorn. For me personally, who has been raised in an environment that there is quite a lot of hierarchies there, and the elder needs to be respected by default, whether they respect you or not. Something fascinated me in Findhorn that I don't know. I was seen very differently. I felt very different in presence of people. I felt very honored, uh, especially elders. Some of the elders I spoke with in Findhorn was special for me. After reading Eileen Caddy book and working with the foundation, they embody this values with them. They practice them, and I see in their presence. So that was very special for me. I see their commitment to that work. It was very alive. The light was very different. The sky was very different. The sun was very different there. Oof. I often say that the most vulnerable self I can't express in my mother tongue because English is still my language, which I'm still figuring it out where special. It was special with me in a sense that whenever I was feeling vulnerable and lonely, there would something happen in the nature will make me feel alive. And it will help me to remind me, hey, we are there together in this. Many time often in the midst, in the morning hurry of and worry of sending Chavi to school, I would just step out of the house in the chill, wearing a couple of layers, and immediately after holding my daughter's hand while walking to car share place, I would look around and I would say thank you for giving me this opportunity to drop her to this place so that I can come and see you. Otherwise, I would have been just sitting in the house in the morning because it's just so cold. And then because it has four nature and it's so profound, every week in Findhorn, you see different thing happening. Every 10 days, flowers are changing, buds are opening, or leaves are falling. Um, I'm in my mind, and then the squirrel would pass through the branch in front of me, and poof, I'm in now. Now this is the magic, I would say, of Findhorn for me personally, and that was very special for me. It helped me to come in now and make myself realize that look, you are in your mind, but in now, this is the magic you're missing, and come back to me. I'm here, waiting to be with you. Are you there? I would say that was very special for me. Nature, it was constantly talking with me. The sky, the sun, the birds, leaves. I would talk with them sometimes. Of course, I was not having something like Dorothy for sure. When I'm walking outside, especially when you see the frost on the leaves. For me, someone who is coming from tropicals was fascinating. And I was also living most of my life in cities. So for me, every event, moment to be in nature, walking, uh, was just profound. And of course, what was special was people there. Yeah, the warmth of the people with whom I could connect was from a different space, I would say, from a different connection and belonging. Because I often, yeah, there was a phase in my life when I knew that I'm not just Indian, you know, I'm part of this whole global family. I could experience that belongingness, which is beyond the description of me being Priyanka and someone who is coming from this particular region and have a cultural conditioning. So the special was that I could let go all these things and connect with that other being where we both are resonating on the same frequency. And sometimes we don't need words to be with each other or have to do any act of kindness to prove that. But it was just there, just holding hand and looking into each other's eyes, and someone is making you feel that, yes, I see you and you exist for me and I love you as you are. And that's it. I felt safe and equal and respected as I am. Especially when it comes from elders. It's very healing for me.
That's a good note to end on, I think, in the podcast. This
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, I feel that too. Thank you so much for listening and creating space for this. I was almost in tears when you messaged me because you feel good that somebody is remembering you. You know, somebody is there in your consciousness, and yeah, I'm still connected with so many people in the park. So it's a family and it's a home for me.